There are tools out there, and this is why we wrote the book. This is why you do your podcast. This is why so many other people put out information out there. There are tools that can help you in your daily life change the way you're acting, interacting, behaving, but you have to do the work. It's not difficult. If you find a container of love, a situation that allows you and gives you that little bit of, I don't know, freedom, but also courage to go and into your skin and take out that little needle that's pissing you off, that is angry, makes you angry. Little by little, you can take him out, and you can change the way you think, and you can change the way you speak to your children, and the way you show up at work, and the way you lead your job, you lead your business, whatever it is that you're interested in. You will always do it better from a better location, from a better mindset. And that's the offering of the book. The offering is, if you heal your heart, then you heal everything around you.
Welcome to the Weekly Transit. Interviews and conversations from an astrological lens. There's nothing more fascinating to me about this earth than the people who inhabit it. My mission is to create deep, vulnerable, and open conversations that invite our unique guests to share the arc of their ever-evolving journey through life, in the hope that their stories inspire and resonate with you, our listeners. I'm your host, Scott Tajarian. Welcome to the Weekly Transit. I am here with Rocio Aquino and Angel Orengo. They are the authors of The Orchid, which is this book. You can see it behind them as well. The Orchid is an amazing book that we're going to discuss. But a little bit about Rocio and Angel. They are a husband and wife. They're the writers of this book, The Orchid. And Rocio was from Mexico City, and Angel from Puerto Rico. Angel, a graduate of Cornell University, had a successful career with Sony Pictures Entertainment, where he led content distribution teams across Latin America, Asia Pacific, and Europe. While Rocio, she's renowned, working for renowned companies such as Time Magazine, TV Azteca, Nickelodeon, Sony Pictures Entertainment, A&E Mundo. And so they were inspired to write this amazing book called The Orchid, The Secret Guide to Modern Goddesses, which invites readers to discover their inner power and find balance in their lives. It serves as a reminder that self-love, gratitude, and inner clarity are the keys to achieving success in all areas of life. And that's what really attracted me to wanting to bring on Rocio and Angel. Welcome is, the self-love and the gratitude and clarity. I always, try to tell people that, my purpose is to help people understand who they are so they can accept, appreciate, and love the divine, unique miracle that each and every individual is. And so when I was reading, your press release of the book, I was like, wow, this really resonates with me. So I'm really excited that your representative reached out to me to connect us. And I was like, yeah, I'm excited. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having us here. I'm so excited. It's like a little bit starstruck
Oh,
because it's really incredible what you do,
oh,
and really is great opportunity to really what the planets are gonna say.
oh, yes, yes.
How
Uh,
wonderful.
Amazing. Yes. Well, so just a little bit about the planets. So, Rocio, your primal triad, and when we talk about the primal triad, that's the sun, which is your identity, the moon, which is your emotions, and the ascendant or rising sign, which is your personality. Your sun is Aquarius, your moon is Libra, and your ascendant is Gemini. And Angel, also Aquarius sun, Cancer moon, and an Aries rising. So You're both Aquarius suns, which like really struck me right away because in reading the book The Orchid, like this is all about these is it 5 or 6 women? 6 women that you follow on this journey to this retreat, and so like when I think of Aquarius, like the retreat is an Aquarius frequency because Aquarius is symbolized by the water bearer, and the water bearer was the individual that invented the jug, not for themselves, but for the village. So it's about community. It's about the village. It's about giving back. And like the orchid is like this community that sort of people go there and it's a community, but then when they leave they're still a part of the community, because in order to be invited to the orchid you have to be recommended from somebody who was there.
Yes, yes. And funny that you say that. We launched the book in February 14
Oh,
last
Valentine's Day.
year
Yeah.
because we want everyone to celebrate the inner love.
Hmm. Yeah. So tell me, what inspired you to write this book? Tell me a little bit about that
You
story.
want
I
to
mean, I
start?
want to hear your whole history. Really, I want to hear about your upbringing and how the two of you connected. But let's start with the book. Like, what inspired the two of you to write this book? When did you start writing it? So it was released a little over a year ago.
Yes.
And when did you start? When did you have the idea?
2 years ago, I was looking for how do you forgive? Really, because I was feeling super heavy. And at one point, it's like I need all the detail how to feel better, but I didn't have this clarity at the beginning. Really, it's like you go there searching around the world. We've been very lucky to live in many many places, but at one point it's like the information was not clicking. And finally, after studying spiritual psychology plus reading a lot and have a process together for over 25 years together, we finally, I was free, free from my heaviness, free from the idea that I need to carry many things. So at that point, it's like let's do a TV show. And he is like yeah, no, no.
Well, we both have experience in entertainment and advertising and so on. So it wasn't a ludicrous idea, but it just felt like something was missing that we needed to, before we sat down with executives and talk about productions and so on, that we needed a story. We needed to tell the story and we needed to validate that story. And what ended up happening, Scott, is that when we really sat down to deep dive into ourselves, right? It was 2021. And throughout that entire week, that entire year, we would come out of that, the classes, the readings, the books, and we would look at each other and just really say, holy cow, we're changing. We're changing a lot. And it was truly visible. And we started experiencing in our lives, in our marriage, our kids began to change because we changed. And we knew there was something there, something really powerful. And for the first time, we began to understand that it's a technique, that there's choice, that there are tools that you can use to do this. It's when we realize that it's not just something that happens around us, but that we are the masters of our own lives. And that's when she suggested that, and I said, no, before we do that, let's just write a book, let's write a story. And that's how we, a year into our transformation, we said, let's share it with others, and that's where it
Nice.
really begins.
That's amazing. One of the first things I said to my partner when I was reading this book, when I started reading it, was I was like, this is gonna make a great TV show, or like a 10 part series or something, like a mini series. And it could be, multiple seasons, because every season you have like a new group of women that
Right.
we're following that are going to the orchid.
All right.
because it's very like the way that you wrote it. It's like there's scenes. I can see the scenes
Right.
happening, and it's like we're with this character for a scene, and then we're moving on to this other. Maybe we're at the orchid, and then we're flashing back to this character's life, and so on and so forth. It just reads like a film or a TV show. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the intention.
The
Yeah.
intention, really, Scott, is to provide beautiful stories of empowerment for people. When they see it, it's like I feel better about myself. And
Yes.
I saw the character, and I that gives me inspiration to go and try that in my life in a regular person.
Mm-hmm.
So is this necessity of us to see something like that in TV?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if you noticed, but it has been really difficult to find things that they make you feel amazing about who you are today.
Mm. Yeah.
It was
Yeah. Well.
important, one of the characteristics of our book as well, and we would look at other stories, and for the most part, a story dwells a lot on the characters' dilemmas, on their drama,
Mm.
and we wanted it to do that, but we wanted for that to be a very small percentage of the story. So we spend a little bit of time speaking at what brought our characters to where they are in their lives. And every one of the women, with the exception of the founder of the Orchid, every one of the women finds herself at a crossroads:
Mm-hmm.
change or else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or your life is about to get really difficult, or will continue to be more difficult. So change is necessary. But we wanted to spend about 10% of the story telling that part of the story, and the other 90% speaking about all the amazing tools and experiences that you can go through to
Mm.
get out of that hole, because you don't
Mm.
have to be, right? What to do in order to stand up from the 2 feet of water in which you're drowning in, right?
Yes.
And I know it sounds simple and it's not to minimize, but there are tools out there that can help people change their lives.
Mm.
And we wanted those tools to be accessible and for people to have it in one sitting, as opposed to giving them bits and pieces that they would have to come back to again and again. If you read The Orchid, it just gives you a sense of completeness. It gives you a sense that you go to a retreat and a spa, and you share with these people, and at the end you may just feel different enough so that it ignites change in your life.
Yes. Well, the character Mary, right, who created the orchid, she did go through that
Yes.
need to change, like
Yes.
everybody else that's coming to the orchid is now going through. But the yeah, I think that the women are very relatable. Like I felt like I know them. Like I know women that are like I'm like this is this person's story or this is that person's story
Right.
that I know in my life. So they're very relatable. But then you're showing how they by using these techniques and of self love and gratitude, how they can see themselves to the other side and stop being a victim to the suffering that they've endured and and live really a life that is most authentic and self-loving for them. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
At
And
the
so
end,
yeah.
is a lot of empathy.
Empathy. Yes. Yes. So Rocio, you said you were feeling a heaviness. Can you talk more about
Mm.
what that heaviness was and
Yes.
yeah.
So at one point, I grew up thinking that I was in the wrong family,
Hmm.
that and then they love me, but they have a lot of challenge going. And so my father was a challenge figure, like a really difficult man. And
Hmm.
then my mom, at one point, they get separate, and she didn't have any tools. And she passed away when she was 48,
Oh
really
wow.
young, for
Oh.
depression and asthma
Mm.
and complications. And you see, like, it's little by little things that knock you out. And at one point, if you don't have tools,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot go out of that depression. People around, they don't know what to do, what to say. Thanks to these shows,
Yes.
more people are talking about it, and they begin to understand that, we can do it. So I
Mm.
have a very challenging life, and at one point I tried to kill myself, take my
Mm.
life, and again, no one knows what to do with me. And I was sexually abused. Plus, I didn't went to the correct university. For example, I was not able. So in paper, you can see that my life was super amazing
Mm.
now,
Mm-hmm.
but at the beginning was really this heaviness who was with me all the time, even though that I was uh, experience what other people say is successful.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I was looking for all the answers outside of me.
Mm.
So doesn't matter if you are successful, because if you don't have a connection with you, at one point you can have the bag or the car or
Mm-hmm.
one house or the moment, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna be happy until I have my husband or until I have my kids. But I was not connecting with myself because I didn't grow up in a place when they help you to connect with yourself.
Yes.
So little by little I went out, okay? But then, after experiencing this knowledge, this process is like a I feel for first time that my past doesn't define me,
Mm. Yes.
that I can learn, like I can question the way I was thinking. Plus, my body was really for first time without a pain,
Mm-hmm.
because I was able to talk to my body and to connect with every part of misunderstanding and pain that I was carrying. So, for example, I was able to forgive my father, but forgive myself too for carrying so much pain for so long.
Yes.
So, is this what we are trying to people to take with them when they read the novel?
Mm.
Because is this invitation to really begin to live a life without any limitation. So, and I was always talking to people, and no one at one point talk about these things. So it feels very lonely. Was until the Me Too movement that finally women we were allowed to say it,
Mm.
and that is very recent. So now that more people are talking, we can heal and then move on,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the most important part. Doesn't matter what happened 5 seconds ago, form you. But then you need to decide where you're going to put your attention. And your attention is where? In creating, I was really being a victim, and how you can break that mold of victimhood is incredible. So you are creating another path. So that
Beautiful.
was, and now, for example, I can talk about everything because I don't have, I scan my body right now to see if I have any pain left, or insecurity, or shame and guilt.
Mm.
And no, nothing is there. So for me, that's success, is how I experience. Wow, This is
Yes.
incredible.
Yes. Because you can put all those uh, sort of material ideals out there, like, oh, I'm making this much money, or I've got this car, or I've got this house, or this husband. But ultimately, you're only spending 100% of your time with yourself. So if your relationship with yourself is toxic because you are experiencing guilt, shame, regret, blame, then that leads to insecurities, which leads to self loathing. And that's the opposite of self love. And so you can bring in the nice jewelry or the house or whatever, and it makes you feel good for a short time, but then eventually that shine wears off and you're just left with yourself again, and you can't ignore how you feel about yourself.
Exactly. At one point, when I met Angel 25 years ago, I was with him happy, having a happy moment.
Mhm.
And tell,
So we were in the living room, living in Mexico at the time, and we were talking, and she goes, "Today I feel happy. Today I am happy." And I said, "Wait a minute. You're not happy all the time? What do you mean?" I couldn't understand that as a
Mm,
concept because
mm,
for me it was entirely the opposite. I was happy
mm,
all the time, and then I had sad
mm.
days
Yeah.
or difficult days.
Yes.
But she couldn't understand that either, except that throughout the following 2 decades, we would observe each other, and it was just apparent. And she couldn't understand, nor could I explain, Scott,
Mm,
why I was happy and why, for example, some things that led us to um, ask ourselves about our situations that happened that we both experienced together, but I was able to let go and she wasn't. And she would ask me, "But how did you forgive it?" And I would just simply say, "I don't know, just let it go." Because
mm,
for me, it was that simple. At least that's how it felt, but I couldn't understand that for her, she needed much more than that. And in fact,
mm,
it was that search for forgiveness that led us down this path of, I want to know how to forgive, and I need to know the ABCs and the one, two, three of how to do that.
mm,
And it was that curiosity and that inquisitiveness that led us down a path in which I became better versed in understanding who I was and
mm,
how I acted and showed up in the world, and how those things were present in my life, but I wasn't aware of them. And what it's done for me is to bring them to the surface and to be much more aware that forgiveness and gratitude and acceptance are powerful,
mm.
truly, truly powerful. And when used with intention, they become unstoppable as change agents in your life.
And so, what was that experience for you, Angel? Like, were you surprised because you were coming from this place of like, my default is I'm happy. I feel good about I'm grateful to be alive. But then you go down this journey with Rocio to, self-discovery. Was there anything there that surprised you about that journey, or that maybe there are some things in my life that I was missing, that I wasn't looking at? Because sometimes, that default happy might be avoidance of other things. I don't know. Like, what was that experience for you?
For me, it, I've always been a believer of that everything is happening for a reason,
Hmm.
right? And so there was a lot of acceptance immediately when she came and said, "Look, I'm going to take this course. I'm going to start going down this path. I was told that we should do it together
Mm-hmm.
because if we don't, we may divorce." And we may
Mm.
divorce because one of us, or we're going to move in different directions, different language, different feeling, different vibration. And she said it at a stage in which I was already exiting my corporate career. And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And so I gave in to the process. And in going through the process, I experienced myself more deeply in
Yes.
those areas that I had already very superficially experienced myself. So when exercises came about reconnecting with the inner child, I didn't fight it. I simply went along.
Mm-hmm.
And I somehow knew that there was something in it, even though I didn't understand it. And as I sort of dove into those deep waters, it became more and more obvious that there was something there and that there was knowledge and wisdom that is ancestral in nature when we tap into our inner being. And it was just like a connection. It was, I would cry just because I was touching so deeply into, the abyss of love and God and myself and that connection. And
Mm.
so I
And understanding.
and understanding and wisdom. It was almost sounding like I finally knew what I had thought. What, like, there was something that I could know. There's got to be more to life. There's got to be, but I never went further enough to scratch on the surface because I didn't have the key.
Mm.
Like, it's almost as if there was a door, you can see the door, you don't know what's behind it, so you really can't imagine it. And then all of a sudden somebody gives you a key, and that key starts to unlock one of the many locks, right?
Mm.
And little by little, it was through those exercises and connecting with my inner child and doing a lot of forgiveness exercises. I also experienced child abuse, sexual
Mm.
abuse. I
Mm-hmm.
experienced the absenteeism of my father in my life. Um, so we share a lot of those common things, but somehow they weren't controlling me anymore. I
Yes.
do think there is a lot that I brought with me into this lifetime that of perhaps healing that had taken place beforehand.
Mm.
But the understanding and the wisdom is what I uncover the most. And as I did, I would always say the serenity prayer, for example. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change,
Mm.
courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
But when I truly experienced that was in a session in one of our spiritual psychology sessions, and I went deep and I just understood it almost at a cellular level. Like, it was just, oh, I understand what that means now. Like,
Mm.
truly, even though I had attempted throughout my life to lead my life with it almost blindly.
Mm.
And so I learned a lot as I saw her experience it, because she would ask me, so where do you feel the energy? And I would just like scan my body. I'm like, I don't know. I don't feel it. Now I do. I feel a lot more and I'm more sensitive to it. But before, it was observing her and understanding how bodies react differently to pain, to trauma, watching her saying, I feel it here in my throat, or I feel it in my stomach, or I feel it in my groin.
Mm.
And all of that was more like a little puzzle in the thousand-piece puzzle, another little piece and another little piece. And slowly a picture starts to emerge. And it's through understanding, through reading, um, and then
And experience
and
it.
experiencing it. And
Mm.
then the picture is you. You start to emerge, the beauty of and the totality of who you are.
Mm.
It's profound, really, really amazing.
Yes. Wow. Who were? What is spiritual psychology? What is that exactly?
We took this course, man. We took this course by a university, the University of Santa Monica. It's a private university, has been
Mm,
around for
yes.
40
Yep.
years. And what I think it's the combination. My sense now is that throughout the history of humankind, we've separated all these wisdoms into different trajectories.
Mm.
We've called them science, we've called it psychology, we've called so many different paths. And at the end,
Hinduismo,
into yes, and at the end,
Kabbalah.
Mm-hmm.
it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like it's part criticism, but really observation, like the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you have to go to a specialist for your eyes, a specialist for your ears, a specialist for your feet. And the human body is one,
Mm.
it's all connected.
Yes.
So in essence, you're speaking to one person who's really, really good at understanding one side of you. But that person fails to see that that side is being impacted by the rest of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that spiritual psychology is very much in that. It's when you start looking at all your bodies in one, when you start looking at your emotional body together with your physical body, together with your spiritual body, together with your inner
Inner
child.
Mm.
And so all of a sudden you see the totality of these things that we call human beings. And so it was bringing both spirituality and science, Jungian psychology,
Mm-hmm.
into one, and with an incredible amount of love
Mm.
as the most central vibration for this to take place, because ultimately is the healing power that we need, right?
and the
Yes.
connection
And the
with the heart
connection. Yeah.
is like instead of having the reaction from here,
Mm-hmm.
you bring and begin to have the connection from your intuition, from
Yes.
your hunch.
Mm-hmm.
You begin to develop this part of energy that really is sending a signal to the world
Mm.
to of who you are, and then the world answer back being a mirror. So
Yes.
it's okay, so how I can change the frequency where I am. And that profound experience, because it's not only one thing that he say, is our puzzle was living in Hong Kong for 6
Mm-hmm.
years, travel around all Asia, then living in London, and then you begin to see the the way the people think really, in the collective consciousness of different areas of the world. And what I begin to understand is the freedom that I didn't have to begin to choose what is the best for me, for my relationship with my husband, and my way of teaching my kids, my two teenagers,
Mm.
and my relationship with my mother-in-law, and and you see the circle begins to change drastically. And is all that who makes you you, to really, we found the words to transmit really an information who was, we were looking, but I don't know if it's a coincidence or is a, is something that we were looking for many lives.
Mm.
And probably here is only like finding the information to really pass the information to more people, to experience the amazingness that there is live inside of us, from a
Mm.
place of abundance, creativity, and joy, a lot of joy.
Mm.
I think that's the key word is joy, because like you talk about the mind versus the heart. And it's like the mind is like always trying to like solve the problem or figure it out or try to control things. But the heart, like when people would say follow your heart, I used to not understand what that meant. You follow your heart, like what do you mean? And what I came to understand for myself is it's joy. If you feel joy, then that's your heart saying yes. And you
Yes.
don't need to think about it. Like the thoughts, they're not there. It's like the thoughts get in the way of the joy sometimes. So you just have to find that joy. What is making you laugh? What makes your body tingle in that good way? That's what we need to look for, right?
100%.
I think you're right. I believe now that the fact that we say follow your heart
Mm.
And the fact that it's been repeated so many times, and that it's a saying, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's wisdom from humankind passed on through generations and generations, must mean that at some point we were very clear that the heart was a source of knowledge and wisdom and
Mm-hmm.
decision making. And we've lost it over time. But what it's been for us, and I think one of the gifts have been reconnecting with that. That when you truly are in your heart, it's a source of energy. And now I mean, I'm sure you and your listeners must have been already aware of the Heart Math Institute
Mm,
that
sure.
speaks now that there is as many more connections from the heart to the brain than from the brain to the heart.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just a feeling and a belief, it's actual science that it's being
Yeah.
studied right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's powerful when you connect. And so when that connection happens and you integrate, right, and you bring into some form of congruence everything about you, you start to live your life differently because you start to make different choices.
Mm-hmm.
And as you do, you shift the paradigms and you go into a different path altogether. And that's where intention comes in, because you really can begin to live a wonderful life because that's what you've proposed. And and you go back to the words of Henry Ford, right? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way you're right.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
I am the maker of my own future and
Mm-hmm.
my own reality. And it
Yes.
starts with simple things like connecting with yourself.
Yes. It's so interesting. It's like I you know, the fact that like I didn't know until I was probably an adult that the first organ that is developed in utero is the heart. I never thought about that. No one ever told me that. But then like when I first heard that, I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. Of course it's the
Yeah,
heart. That's the most important part of the body. When you look at your astrological code, the planet that represents the heart is the sun, and it's your identity. It's how you identify. So both of you as Aquarius sons identify with the collective, with the group. And so, this is part of, I imagine, you wanting to be a part of the classes that you were in, maybe going on the retreats that you went on, but writing this book, The Orchid, it's like you want to bring this to the community and show how living, supporting each other is healing for one another. So it's like both of you have mentioned your abuse that you experienced as children, or as young adults. A lot of the characters in this book have experienced abuse, different types of abuse. So it's really shocking to me. Like when I got into this work as a guide, helping people navigate their lives, it was shocking to me how many people have been abused, both men and women. It's not segregated to one
yeah,
sex. It's, even the sexual abuse. Like people think like, oh, sexual abuse, it's a woman getting raped. And it's like, no, it's like men too. Like they have dealt with. So it's there's a lot of healing that needs to happen in this world, in our lives. And so, yeah, and look at your chart too. Like, you know, uh, and hell, your moon in Cancer is squaring your Saturn in Aries, and Saturn is the father. And so the squaring creates tension. Like you may have experienced tension between your mother and father growing up because the moon is the mother, Saturn is the father. But there's a restrictive quality to your emotional nature. Like maybe you didn't receive the nurturing or kindness that you would have desired, or that you've passed on to your own children from your parents because of that. And that could be an indication of abuse as well, because Saturn is the authority and the moon is the emotions, and they're in this tense alignment. And for Rocio, your moon is conjunct almost at the same degree in the same sign as your Uranus. They're both in Libra. And so Uranus is the planet of revolution.
Mm.
and the unexpected. So there may have been unexpected events that occurred in your life that deeply impacted or affected your heart, because both of these are in the fifth house, which is associated with the fifth sign, which is Leo, and Leo's the sign that rules the heart, because Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun is the center of the solar system, and the heart is the center guiding force of the body. And so that having Uranus very close to your moon created that where you couldn't really maybe feel safe or peaceful emotionally in the way that you truly desired, because Libra is the sign of peace. So it's like you're emotionally fulfilled by peace and serenity, but you have Uranus there, which creates that unexpected frequency, which disrupts the scales and the balance. So, yeah. How does that all feel to you?
Totally real. I know now that belief that I choose a very difficult, very challenging curriculum
Hmm.
to
Yes.
experience in life,
Hmm.
and was, yes, you are on point.
Yeah,
Hmm.
for me as well. I didn't have that much contact with my father, and it was a tumultuous relationship between him and my mom.
Hmm.
And when I say I didn't have much contact, I only had one experience that I remember with my dad, and it was when I was 40 years old, and it
Wow.
lasted 5 hours. That is the extent of my relationship with my dad. Every
Wow.
other time was absent. The times that he attempted to reach out to me, he was probably drunk. But something really interesting happened throughout this change and transformation of the past few years. Um, After I met him at my 40, in my 40th year, and until after, I didn't come in contact with him, but I learned of his passing about a year and a half ago. And when I got the message, it was interesting. It was sort of like something in me said, he lived his life the way he did so that you could learn how to be a good father.
Hmm.
And it was really fascinating. We had read one book that so many books have impacted our lives, and one of them was about the contracts that we sign with our souls, brothers and sisters,
Hmm.
as we're coming into this lifetime, and in which Angel says, "Well, I want to learn how to be a better dad," and the souls around you, me, say, "Very well, I'll help you." And some will come with really positive, actionable steps that you can probably take, and others come backstabbing you as many times as they need to until you learn the lesson.
Yes.
And that's how it felt with my dad. There was such a relief that took place and a peace that took over of that understanding. Now that may just be poetic, mindset in me, but it was felt deep down in me to the point where there was no resentment. There was just love for that being having lived its life as it did and teaching me the lesson that it did. It was really powerful.
It's such a beautiful and profound reflection, Angel, because uh, it's not just some poetic thing that for you to make sense of your life, because I can literally see it in your astrological code. Like when you think of the moon being the planet of nurturing, of kindness. Your moon is in a position of power because it's in the sign that it rules, Cancer. So I imagine that as a father, it's been your objective to be somebody who's very kind, caring, nurturing, and, to be a family man. But that Saturn in Aries squaring your moon. So Saturn is restriction, responsibility, work, authority. Aries is the sign of self-confidence. So I was thinking about how you said, like, every day I feel good. It's like I'm happy most. I have bad days and some tough days or difficult days or sad days, but those aren't the norm. That really is indicative of your Aries rising. which Aries is the first sign. So it's like the child, it's like, hey, how are you? It's like, great to see you. It brings that energy. It's cardinal fire. But you also have Saturn in Aries in the 12th house. And the 12th house is the house of the unconscious. And Rocio, your Saturn is also in the 12th house. So your Rocio's is in Taurus. So it's really interesting, again, you writing this book, because both of you born with Saturn in the 12th house means that part of your work in this life, where you're meant to gain mastery, is in the unconscious, because that's the 12th house, is the house of the unconscious. So Angel, your Saturn in Aries means that you had to work on self confidence, and self confidence within your unconscious. You might think, like, I am confident, but then there's something down in there that needs more work. So through that restriction, it's like when I look at people's charts and I say, well, this is that, and so on and so forth, they'll say, well, that's because my parents this or my family that. I'm like, yes, absolutely. That's your story, and your story is the truth. But the reason why you're telling that story is because these planets were aligned this way when you were born. It's
Mhm.
like
Wow.
those pianos that play on their own, and they have those little holes that tell the piano what notes to play. So you had the father that you had, Angel, because that is what your chart said. Like, you needed that experience, but you committed to doing that work. You did the inner work, and through doing the inner work and really taking responsibility for your emotions, that if I want to feel good, it's my responsibility to feel good. You took responsibility for that, and because of that, you were able to be the father that you wanted to be, which wasn't the father that you had.
Mm.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and then when
Mm.
you look at Rocio, for you, Rocio, with your Uranus conjunct the moon in the fifth house in Libra, you have created a sense of independence for your emotions, where you're like, I'm not going to be, you know if I get surprised by something, I'm not going to allow that to create a spiral in my life that that awakens me to something within myself that I need to look more deeply at, perhaps. But you've claimed independence in your emotions, in understanding that if I want peace, it's up to me. It's not anybody else's responsibility to give me peace. It's my responsibility to find the peace within myself.
100%.
Yes.
100%. And Scott, at one point, really, I feel an urge to live and to do this.
Hmm.
Is really profound. The necessity of sharing tools,
Hmm.
really.
Yes. Well, it makes sense. Like, so this is part of your soul's purpose, Rocio, because your North Node, which is the karmic pathway of the soul, or soul's purpose, it's in uh, Aquarius, which is the same sign as your sun, but it's in the ninth house, which is the house of philosophy. It's the house of spirituality. Uh, and your North Node is also aligning with your Neptune, which is in Sagittarius, which is the ninth sign. So your North Node is in the ninth house, which is associated with the ninth sign, and it's aligning with your Neptune, which is in Sagittarius, the ninth sign. So Neptune is the planet of dreams. It's the planet of the unconscious. It's the ruler of the oceans, and we don't know what's in the oceans. It's like the ocean of your mind. Like, what's down in the ocean? We barely know what's going on in there. So you are meant to, like, part of your soul's purpose is to share your wisdom through telling your story, and connecting to that point of compassion and empathy for yourself, for others. And then it's also aligning with your ascendant, which is your face, your body, your personality. It's the essence of your soul. So, like, you being authentic and open in wanting to listen and learn about other people's stories, but also to share your own story and to connect to the group, to understand that it's not all about me. Like, I'm a key point of this community. I matter, but I don't need to take away shine from anyone else, because I'm me and no one else is me, and I don't need to be like anyone else. Being in that frequency through your work, your daily routine, your spiritual practice, that is the purpose of your soul. So when you're in that frequency, that's when you feel like, oh, wow, look at all the amazing things that can happen to me in my life. It's like beyond what I even could have imagined.
Yes, it's true. It's like a we are living really miracles every day.
Hmm.
Is beautiful,
Tell me
really.
more.
So is synchronicities is really at one point I feel like I'm a piece that has been moved by something bigger. It's a beautiful energy that I have, like I am love. And then this energy, it's like a something bigger is helping us to go in the direction that we are choosing.
Yes. Again, like, this is, it's amazing to me because in hearing your story, I'm hearing you go from one side of the coin to the other side of the coin with different planetary aspects, like angels moon squaring his Saturn. The shadow side of that is maybe, or the lower frequency is, my father wasn't there. I had no father. Feeling that restriction emotionally, I don't have the love that I need. But then flipping to the other side of the coin is like, well, I need to take responsibility for what I'm feeling. I need to take responsibility for my love and my emotions, and what I desire. And in doing that, you actually have everything that you've ever wanted. And then for Rocio is the same with your moon, and it's like, oh, unexpected abuse, people abandoning me, or that sort of frequency. To no, I need to be more independent, and I need to take care of myself. So now you're saying it in terms of like that connection to a higher power, a connection to, all that is, all that was, all that ever will be. Like, I'm connected to it. That is Neptune. Again, like, it's aligning with your north node, but it's also opposing your ascendant. And so, like, the flip side of that frequency was like when you were saying that you felt this heaviness. When you feel the heaviness, or you feel like, I'm actually happy today, that's strange. Because Neptune opposing your ascendant, like, you are an open vessel, Rocio. Like, you have such deep compassion. When people connect with you, you really expose yourself in a way that's loving. But at the same time, other people, if you don't know how to protect your energy, they may take advantage of that. And when they do, and they might not even be taking advantage of it consciously, they're maybe doing it unconsciously, and somebody is just having a horrible day, and you sometimes somehow feel like that's your problem, and it has nothing to do with you. They didn't tell you that they needed you to carry the load, but you feel bad because they feel bad, and it has nothing to do with you. But now you're feeling bad. Now I'm not having a good day. Whereas when now you have that awareness of, I'm connected to all things, you can see like, okay, somebody's having a hard time. Uh, and I send them compassion, but my experience is also my own.
Beautiful saying.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I'm really excited about this because when we wrote the book, we put on the table, well, I guess on the wall is where we had it, all sorts of different activities that we were doing and experiencing that were enhancing this this thing that was not being,
Brewing.
it wasn't being formed, but being uncovered, right?
Hmm.
Because it's, we are who we are, and it's all within us until we let it all out in its
Mm.
authenticity. And one of the chapters or experiences of these women was going to be an astrological
I
reading.
was gonna say, where's the astrologer? I was like
I,
looking at all the, you've got the physician, the divination, the founder, the head nutritionist, the shaman, the couple shamans, language and writing, social worker, psychologist, dance, Watsu, breath and sound, the masseur,
yeah,
masseuse, the Buddhist monk, and I'm like, but no astrologer.
Believe me, we try.
yeah,
Oh, really?
We really
yeah.
try.
And just for everybody who's watching and listening, what Scott read is a page in the book, or two pages in the book,
Yes.
that describe the healers and teachers that are present at the orchid
Hmm.
when these women go there and who they interact with. And it's through those interactions that something is awakened inside of them, obviously. Their ability to love themselves, ultimately.
Yes.
But going back to why not, it's because we felt that we had to make choices and be careful in those choices, not to give too many of these things to people, because otherwise we wanted someone who's often, and we've already experienced this, someone who is not open to many of these ideas,
Hmm.
right? To feel comfortable coming in and not saying, oh, that's too much for me. No
Yeah.
way.
Right.
And so
Totally.
we had to pick and choose. And in fact,
Yes.
funny enough, about maybe a year before us writing the book, the four of us, the entire family, had done astrological readings.
Oh.
And so they were, I mean, we had the recordings, we were ready. And then ultimately we went with a tarot card
Yeah.
chapter, because it was just a little bit easier, more
Totally.
from a story point of view, is much easier to explain. But
Absolutely.
Yes,
and
because how we can write about the situation of somebody if you are not totally incredible, amazing, really well known, because anyone who is an astrologer reads that what they are saying, then is not gonna make sense.
yeah, they
Mm.
needed to be
So
convinced.
completely. So
But
next
yeah,
time when
they
we
will be
meet
there.
somebody, we're gonna call you and we're gonna tell you what we need, and you can
Scott,
really advise us.
Scott, we're writing chapter 35. We're ready for you now.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I love the tarot chapter. I love that you have like these visuals with the cards in there, and I love all the visuals. It makes it like very engaging. And I love this page with like that we were talking about here with all the different the council on
Yes, the
there.
Yes.
council.
And I love this page where it's a breakdown of all the characters, or the women who are there. So it's there's a lot about the book that's like really easy to grasp, and I kept on like referring back to those pages. I'm like, wait, this is the one who, okay, now I remember. It's like it's very helpful in reading because there's a lot of different characters in the book. So um but yeah, I can totally see how, I think like astrology, if you're, even for the reader, if you're a reader who doesn't know anything about astrology or thinks astrology is some like made up sort of thing that doesn't have any validity to it, they might like gloss over that chapter, or not, or just disengage entirely because they're like, well, this is you know uh a pseudoscience or
Right,
something like that.
right.
Whatever, how people disparage astrology all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's all good. I was just teasing you there. So
No, no, but it was real.
but
There were many, many other things that
mhm,
didn't make it into the book for that same reason.
yes.
Things that we were experiencing in our lives. When we wrote the book, it was really important that we were writing from a first person point of view.
Oh
So
yeah.
everything that we speak of in the book are things that we ourselves experience. The only difference is that we packaged it in these fictional women characters.
Yes.
But ultimately, everything that they're gone through, everything in their lives that is a crossroads, is something that we experience either firsthand or saw from someone very dear next to us.
Hmm.
And and so, although it's a novel, there's nothing fictional about it.
Right.
It's to your point earlier in the conversation. You see someone you know in each of the characters, and often that person is you
Yes.
yourself.
Yes, I mean the characters are very well drawn. Like I felt a lot of empathy for them. You know, even at different times, just like shock. Like when Stephanie, the experience she has in France.
Yeah,
Of her abuse. Like I was like, oh my god, it's this thing's happening, and she's like so young, and just it's just
yeah,
the experience with Jennifer was very visceral. She's the one who she gets divorced, right, with her,
yes,
and her husband like leaves her with another woman and just like abandons the family. Like,
yeah.
Yes.
yeah, they're just they really like kind of cut deep, and it brings something up.
And there's another one, Sophia, who's just angry with the world because
Yes.
she
Oh
had to
man.
fight tooth and nail
Totally.
for
That's
everything she had.
heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
Yeah,
When you
and then
see her childhood and then how she grows up,
right,
but I felt it was very profound that her friend is like, I'm not doing business with you. You're a friend for a
right,
long time, but like I've heard a lot of things about you and I'm just going to be honest with you. And it's like, wow, that's a really good friend to be able to say that so bluntly and honestly,
yeah.
so her friend must be a Sagittarius or a Sagittarius rising. So
Probably,
Oh, that's great.
probably. Or December 1st.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Ah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Yes.
It's
exactly.
that friend is based on a real
On a
friend.
real person, and it's December.
Yeah.
Okay, so you,
Well, the truth is this, and
You
just
see?
to speak of
yeah,
to show how the story is crafted. In Rocio's life, there was a family, a person that she would visit, a friend.
yeah,
And it was by visiting that household that she realized that there were different ways to live.
Yes.
And then also that mirrors our ability to travel the world, that it was through visiting other cultures and living in other countries that we realized, oh, so that which we think about, it's really an idea of our culture because we were born and raised wherever that was.
hmm,
And as you travel around, you start to see, oh, but they don't think that way. Why are they more free? Why
yeah,
are they more whatever? And so in her case, it was another person that she saw. And so we wanted to make sure to recognize that in the story. And so Sophia has this friend
hmm,
that Monica Reyes is the character
yes,
in the book,
yes,
that she just went to her house and she says, wow, they just lived differently. And she saw it
hmm,
and did it enough times that she knew it was real and it was authentic. And it
hmm,
was something that she gravitated to. It was her sort of North Star. That's what I want in my life,
yes.
The subconscious.
subconsciously.
Yes, exactly. Well, and that's why I think she ends up doing the work the business that she does because she goes into the same business as that family,
Right,
right? Yeah.
Yes.
right,
Okay. Yeah.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's a really powerful story about everyday people and how they find themselves lost, like so many people are today in the world because
Hmm.
they're earning money or struggling or doing things, but somehow not on purpose, not on a path that
Yeah.
ultimately fulfills them. And when these women realize that through awareness, gratitude, forgiveness, acceptance, and intention, they can reconnect with that part of themselves. That's when the locks start opening up and they start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, except the light is really inside of them in their heart. And it's just really
Mm.
beautiful to see their expansion and
Yes.
how they go about it.
Yes. That's when the orchid opens up, right?
That's right.
Yes.
Yes. And the invitation is for people to really begin to have inspiration because
Hmm.
inspiration give us a sense of north.
Mm.
And when you begin to see that someone else is really doing things that works,
Yes.
be my guest.
Yes. Yes. The inspiration, it breaks down the boundaries and the barriers, and
Yes.
it opens things up. And that's, in a sense, like I talked about uh Rocio's uh North Node in the ninth house, but uh Angel, yours is in the 12th house, which is the house of the unconscious. So that's, the ninth house and the 12th house. So Rocio is ninth house, Angel 12th house. Those are the two houses that represent spirituality
Mm.
and and inspiration, because the 12th house is the Pisces frequency, which is Pisces is the final sign. It carries the weight of the 11 previous signs, so it has this intuitive knowing and compassion. And then the ninth house is the philosophy. That is higher learning, expansion. And then you also mentioned travel as well. Like, you've lived a lot of different places, and so Angel, you're a ninth house Venus, ninth house Venus, and your ninth house Angel is in Sagittarius, which is the house that is associated with the ninth sign. So it's in its like most powerful placement. But uh, Rocio is a ninth house Sun, Mercury, and North Node, also born with Neptune and Jupiter in Sagittarius. Jupiter is the planetary ruler of Sagittarius. So, ninth house is all about travel and
Mm.
exploration, foreign cultures, foreign lands. So, it makes sense that, you're living in a foreign country.
Yes.
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 And you've learned a lot from these travels. It's expanded your
Mm.
mind. Yes.
Yes, it's no, yes, of course, has been absolutely incredible. We've been visiting more than 65 countries,
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
and really is how you can give more. Really, probably imagine the area of Aquario
Hmm.
and us. It's like we are, I believe, in the same frequency. Is what comes to me to really, we came here to do this job,
Yeah.
and I love it.
There's a sense that once I found this path, and once we found it, but I'm going to speak about myself, I was able to look back at a very successful career in corporate American entertainment and look at this moment and say, that wasn't the career. That was just the training
Yes.
for what's to come.
Yes.
And it's just so absolutely beautiful and powerful because when we look at what's ahead of us and when we're dedicated to this now 100% of our time. And when I say this is the sharing of the book, the distribution of the book and this message. And the message being you're powerful beyond belief.
Hmm.
Just connect with yourself. Let go of the past. There are tools that you can use quite easily, quote unquote easily, because you still have to do the work, but they're
Yes. Yes.
accessible to you. They're
Hmm.
not out of your reach,
Right.
right? All of us can sit down on the floor right now and start giving thanks for the things that are around us and enter into the power of gratitude and allow that vibration to start to heal us or forgive or accept. And so when you tap into that, it's grand. And so we're just excited every day that we get up to do this. And I kid you, we can't deny that once in a while doubt sets in, right? We're
Hmm.
human.
Hmm.
And we look at each other, it's like, are we crazy for doing this? And all of a sudden, Scott, I kid you not, someone calls, someone writes and say, thank you so much because what you're doing is making a difference or made a difference in my life. And
Yes.
that's just so profound. And that alone is, we look around and like, okay, thank you, we hear you,
Yes, exactly.
right?
And it's so special to be contacted from people that you don't know.
Yeah,
And they're like, thank you for doing what you do. And it's like, wow, okay, cool.
yeah,
So it's very special. You mentioned like the work, that like this is available to us, but we have to do the work. And that's
yes,
something that I love that I think Mary said in the beginning, in the when everybody's there on that first night, and is like, we just ask that you commit to doing the work. And
yeah,
that's the biggest key right there. It's like, people, if you want me, I can't do the work for you. I can help give you the knowledge and the perspective and the understanding to some degree, but you have to be open to receiving the information. And that's part
yes.
of the work, is being open to receive the information, and then integrating it within yourself in a meaningful way, where you're actually taking what you're learning and making those changes within your life, because the only person that can really change your life is you.
No one else will know how to do it. You're
Yeah,
so unique. You're so special. You're a singularly crafted piece of universal
Energy.
machinery and energy
it's so true.
that only you understand.
Exactly. It's like I tell people all the time when I they do readings with me for the first time. I'm like, the next time the planets and stars will be aligned in the way that they were aligned when you were born is over 25,000 years from the date, time, and place of your birth.
Right.
So you are a divine, unique miracle. And
Yeah.
people are always like, "Oh my god, really? Like it's 20?" Like, yes, that's how special you are. But you're also born under the same planets and stars as everyone else, which means that everyone that you come into contact with is reflecting you, and you are reflecting them.
How beautiful.
So yes, yes. And it's beautiful to see how the two of you are reflecting each other, with your Aquarius sons. But you've got these other key points of reflection as well, which is like, I always look like when I see, okay, this is a couple, like, where's the attraction here? Where, and you've got one that like really stands out very clearly, where it's Angel's Mars, which is the masculine planet, the god of war, the planet of action, aggression, conflict, confidence, courage, attraction, is conjunct with Rocio's Venus, the feminine planet, the goddess of love and beauty, the planet of relationships. So they're both in Pisces, which is that compassionate, empathetic, spiritual, inspirational frequency. So it's like that's what attracts you together, but also invigorates you in doing the work that you're doing, to be compassionate, not only uh, with each other, but in the expression of your relationship together.
I thank you so much. I was like this to make a joke before you say that. It's like a maybe next time that you have a couple, you need to ask the question, what do you think is? So people are gonna say anything, and at this point I'm gonna say because he's super handsome. So clearly something else.
Yes. No, it's always something deeper from the chart. Yes. Were you going to say something, Angel?
Yeah, no, there's been a number of instances throughout our 25 years together
Hmm.
in which our being with one another has been reconfirmed by
Hmm.
much greater powers, and in your case, astrology. But um, Rocio at different times has, for example, experienced the sensation of having her mom very close to her, even though she passed away. So the
Hmm.
energy of her mother. So one time her mom came to her and said, "This is the guy." Um, we've had another woman in Spain read cards, read the tarot, and send me a message and say, "You found her."
Hmm.
So it's really wonderful to continue to hear the
Hmm.
confirmation that this joint venture
Yes.
is meant to be, and to kid, to
No,
just add, it's actually gotten better now that we're both just grounded in ourselves, and it's become stronger.
Hmm. How did what were we gonna say, Rocio?
25 years
20.
has not been enough.
Hmm. How did the two of you meet?
In an interview, I was working for Nickelodeon,
Uh huh.
and somebody called me, and it's like we were asking to people around that they, if they have good people for sales, and your name came up. So, do you want to come for an interview? And it's like yes, of course. So I went to the interview, hoping that I'm gonna see a woman, and then I met him, and it's like okay, nice to meet you. So we, at the beginning, was only 100% work, but in that interview something super funny happened. After the interview like this, he say what do you say?
So I interviewed her. I was very impressed, and I said, "Look, I'm not going to offer you the job, so let's not continue these interviews." And she couldn't understand it, and I said, "Look, I am so impressed with you
Mhm.
that I cannot comprehend why someone, your boss, would let you go. It would be
Mm,
crazy. So all I see is that you and I are going to go back and forth for 2 or 3 months. I'm going to make you a great offer. You're going to go back to your boss to raise your salary,
mm,
stay where you are, and I'm going to 3 months later, I'm still going to be looking for that person."
mm.
And it's just because I really was so impressed with her that I didn't think it made sense that we would continue wasting each other's time. I for sure would keep in touch with her. And she was married at the time, so frankly, there was
Oh,
no even not a slightest idea that this would lead to a romantic relationship.
okay. Because I thought where you were gonna go was when you said like, "I'm not gonna offer you the job because I want to take you out." But I guess that wasn't in the cards at that point. So,
No,
No, because really what I need for, and what my answer was, I don't play. It's
mm.
like this, if you give me the
if
opportunity
you
or
make
give
me the
me
right offer,
yes, with the
Then
correct
I'm gonna
amount.
stay here. I'm not gonna go back to the other spot.
yeah.
Yes, because at the end, he didn't know, is I was looking for money
Mm,
because I need the money to gain independence.
mm,
So at that moment, it's like the only thing that I need is the security that I have a job to
mhm,
really go and fly myself. So in the moment that he say, okay, we negotiate, and I was waiting, we I took the job, and was the moment to end the relationship.
mm,
So in that moment, it's like okay, didn't work. So beautiful human, but for someone else. And then I went to this work really looking like I need to work super hard to be in secure position for all the insecurity that I was happening around my life in that moment. So even I tried to present girls to him.
No, you didn't try. You did. I went out
Yes,
on dates with her friends.
oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes,
and nothing. But what was really interesting, what was happening at the time, and to your point about when you're meant to be and when you're connected and when the stars say it's
align.
are aligned, there was a magic that was already happening professionally. So we were selling advertising space together, and even though we had just begun to work together in like weeks before, there was this seamlessness between the two of us. There was a dance where we would
Mhm.
start a sentence in the presentation, and
Yep.
the other one would complete it as if we had worked together for decades.
Hmm.
And it was such a beautiful thing. Eventually, we fell in love, and and married and so on. But we always wanted to replicate that. It was such a great experience that for 20 something years, we kept saying, we got to start a business together. We got to start a business together. And it just wouldn't pan out.
Hmm.
It so just happened that when we centered ourselves and we became stronger spiritually, individually, the opportunity came up to do this project. And then it was that seamlessness, that seamless magic again reappeared in the project. And, we spend 24 hours together, day in and day out. It's rare the time that we're not in the same space together.
Hmm.
And to her point, it's not enough. It's just flows
Hmm.
seamlessly. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Well, that's one of the, and I don't want you to gloss over, like, and then we fell in love, and I want to get into that a little bit
Yes,
more, but
please.
but I just also wanted to reflect that, like, one of the things that like jumped out to me was because I knew coming into this that you were a working relationship where you're a married couple, but you're also, like, business partners and,
Yes.
co-authors of this book, creators, and so it's fascinating to me because when you look at Rocio's astrological code, Angel, your Mercury, the planet of the mind, and your Mars, the planet of action, are both in Rocio's 10th house, which is the house of achievement, career, goals, ambitions, legacy. And then when you look at uh, Angel's chart and then Rocio, your planets, your sun and your Mercury, uh, Sun is vitality, Mercury is the mind, and then the North Node, the soul's purpose, are also all in the 10th house, the house of achievement and legacy and career. But uh, also, Rocio, your moon, the planet of emotions, is in Angel's sixth house, which is the house of service, which represents your job. So you have this like emotional connection to being living the daily life, the routine, but you're also bringing vitality and mental clarity to your goals and ambitions, while Angel is bringing action and mental clarity to the ambitions as well. And then when you look at your composite chart, which is like where you take like the calculation of both of your charts and you split the difference and you get what's in between of everything. It's kind of like the two charts become one.
Uh-huh.
So this is you as a couple. So when we're looking at both of you and not the two of you as individuals, your sun, the planet of vitality, your Mercury, the planet of the mind, and your Venus, the planet of the senses and relationship, are both in the 10th house. Your Jupiter, the planet of luck and expansion, is in the sixth house, which is the job. So luck and expansion to the job, vitality, mental clarity, and love and relationships and goals and ambitions. And then the soul's purpose, the North Node, is in Pisces, the sign of the unconscious. So it's that spirituality, but it's in the 11th house, which is the house of community. So it's like
Mm.
sharing that spirituality to the community and that inspiration and compassion and empathy. The orchid, that's your soul's purpose. It feels like that.
It feels,
Wow.
wow.
Yes.
It certainly feels
So,
like it in our side, right? When
of
we,
course, it should.
yeah, there are no words to express the amount
Mm,
of gratitude. First, thank you for telling us this. Is just really special when one connects with our purpose
yes.
and when we're aligned,
Yes.
and to whoever is listening and watching, that's the power that we're talking about.
Yes.
That
Well, you can.
when you access that, you can do anything, whatever that is.
Absolutely. You can see it on your faces. You can
Yes.
feel it in the book. There's so much love and just peace and wisdom in the book. So you feel it as a reader. Um, Now, how did the love? So you said you weren't going to hire Rocio, Angel, and then she convinced you otherwise, and and Rocio wanted that independence from her partnership that she was in, that she was unhappy in. So, at what point did that end and the romance begin, or was it in between that time? Like, how did that all come about?
It's so much fun. Because at one point we were, for example, of course, it's very difficult to end a relationship because at one point, when you take the decision, everyone stopped talking to you, right? So I was in my own city without family or friends because they were like, you are crazy, how are you gonna stop a relationship, right?
And what city was this? Where were you working
Mexico
together?
City.
Mexico City. Okay.
Mexico City.
Hmm.
So at one point it's like at the end no one pays my rent.
Hmm.
I'm gonna do it because is came a point that when we have a conversation about let's have a kid because our kid is gonna help us to heal and is the person who's gonna arrange everything. In that moment, I was that kid and
Mm.
I didn't fix my parents and I didn't, it's not possible. So, of course, at that moment you tries therapy, couples, everything, and didn't work. So in that moment, it's like, no, let me go and try something different because really you don't have idea, you don't have clearness of where to move without any coach like you, Scott. Where were you when I need you?
I know, right?
Yes,
I
you
was
begin.
I was doing something else in my life. I wasn't even in this position to help you in the way, and so
Right.
that's been my journey. But
Yeah,
yes, when
but
was this? What year was this happening for you?
in 2000.
Oh wow, yeah,
In
yeah,
2000. So
yes,
then we finish the relationship very quick because when you don't have kids
it's
and
easier.
nothing is
Yeah,
easy.
yep.
So at that moment, I begin to introduce him friends,
Hmm.
and he went out, and then nothing happened. But little by little, I was spending more time working
Hmm.
because was the only thing that I have. I didn't, you
Yeah, to
know.
immerse yourself in your job,
Yes,
as
Yeah.
I did, because I had
100%.
just arrived to Mexico City to open an office. And so we
And
were
he
both,
didn't have
and
friends
I didn't have
neither.
friends either. And so we became each other's friends.
Mm.
And I think there was a partnership that was formed. It was the local knowledge
Hmm.
with
Yes.
sort of the international knowledge or the outside wisdom. And
Hmm.
those two really just partner well together.
And
Yes.
Scott, at one point, he was not really over, like the ego
Hmm.
was not there. And for me to see a man who has a fantastic job title be super down to earth
Mm.
was not normal.
Hmm.
You see, when I was growing up, if someone is a boss, it's like I'm gonna act like a boss,
Yeah.
really, and it's like I'm gonna treat people terrible, like it's really like a colony.
Mm.
Okay, I'm better than you for so many reasons that at one point that's why I'm trying to tell people like no, 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 everyone is special. They make us believe that one person is better than the other one. So is that's why it's so important. Anyway, we begin
We just
to
began spending so much time together, and at some point, when it was time for me to return to the United States for whatever reason, two things happened. I remember going, I think it was Christmas or some holiday,
Christmas.
and being away and missing her, like
Mm.
really missing her
Mm.
terribly. And then around that same time, she had gone to there was some guy who wanted to date her, and they were out at his uncle's farm or something. And she kept talking about her boss and her boss this and her boss that and her boss that. And at some point, the uncle turns around and says to her, if your boss is so cool, why don't you date him?
And I was, what is possible?
And so that
And
that
now, no, I answered to him, no, no, because he's my boss and I need the job
Uh-huh.
to
Yeah.
eat.
Yeah.
And he's like, find another job. And I was, wow, wow, that is profound.
Ah, the
and about
deal.
And about 3 to 4 months later, we are at a sales conference in Tulum, Mexico, a
Mhm.
little paradise, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I asked her if I could give her a kiss. It was a
Mhm.
starry night. We were on a pier overlooking these incredible warm waters of the Caribbean,
Hmm.
and I gave her a kiss
Under the stars.
under the stars. And that then began our next stage, which was we dated unbeknownst and in secret
Yeah, of course, because
for
you're
the
working together.
following
Yeah.
year and a half.
Oh, a
Yeah.
week and a half? That's it?
A
A
Oh, year
year,
and a
year
half.
and a
Oh, year
half.
and a half. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
so much fun.
it was exciting and challenging. But a year and a half later, when we finally got engaged and we made it public, and the majority of the people couldn't believe it that we had
Oh,
kept it
you
from them.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. There weren't people like, yeah, we knew you too.
There was a
Yeah.
couple that suspected, but no one
Uh-huh.
really knew. I mean, we really went out of our way. Like we would
Wow.
go in separate cars to the same meeting.
Mhm.
Because, of course, we were working together. So we would leave the house in separate directions
Hmm.
and then meet at the office. It wasn't as
Yes,
difficult as it
no,
sounds.
no,
Wow.
was at one point people is like, please introduce me to him because I wanna date him. Is not many single guys
Uh-huh.
with a good position in Mexico, and it's like, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna introduce you to him, but never happened.
Yeah.
And the same happened with me and her. So
Hmm.
it was a fascinating time of our lives. And then at some point we moved to Miami, where we lived 7 years. Our daughters were born there. And then at some point we really got that urge. Our stars were shining brightly and saying, you need to move, you need to travel. And so that's when we went to China, and we lived in Hong Kong for 6 years.
Wow. So what were you doing there?
Um,
What were you doing in Miami, and then what were you doing in Hong Kong?
when we moved, Rocio started a series of companies that we thought were going to be the companies that would retire us
Mm.
after everything was said and done. I continued to work in the corporate environment for Sony
Mhm.
Pictures. At that point, I was overseeing Latin America for content sales. In in that world, it's called TV distribution. So after theatrical, after home entertainment, DVD. Now
Mhm.
it's changed, obviously, but it's when you start selling content to the TV networks or to the
Yeah.
cable networks. And then after doing that for almost 7 years, the opportunity came to do it out of Hong Kong for all of the Asia Pacific. And so there we were traveling a lot, and that just opened up the possibilities because our daughters were 3 and 1, and we wouldn't go anywhere without them. So
Mhm.
our daughters learned to travel from a early age, and now that
So
which
we
we
took
picked,
them to India, to
right,
Mongolia, to China, Australia, New Zealand, Myanmar,
Wow.
everywhere.
Bhutan, Korea, Japan, like really every place to go and see a lot of cultures and to understand really how people think.
And the beauty of those pictures
Now,
and
Yes.
cultures.
when you travel to those places, where are you staying? Are you staying in hotels? How long are you there? Are you there for a
Well,
week, a weekend?
It
Yeah.
varied because we were doing it so often. For example, New Zealand, we did 2 weeks in a trailer car, in a trailer home.
Hmm.
So we were traveling from campsite to campsite.
Mhm.
In Mongolia, we stayed in tents because we wanted to get a feel for the Mongolian experience. And yeah, the others were, many
Hotels.
hotels, many beach resorts, because
Mhm.
the kids were kids and they needed pools to,
Yeah, sure.
to have a wonderful time. But many times we also, when we went to Bhutan or Myanmar, it was from temple to temple.
Hmm.
And wherever we could stay was whatever hotels were in the route to those temples. So it varied. Every experience was very different. We always, for example, something that Rocio introduced was making a stop at some charity and
Mhm.
sharing. We would give the toys that the girls were no longer using or books that they were no longer reading.
We did a library
Hmm.
for in a village in Cambodia.
Hmm.
So we
What is
organized
that?
for in the guide was a woman, and she saw that in Cambodia, for example, the kids of the village, they were in disadvantage to the kids of the city because they don't have access to books
Mhm.
in English.
Hmm.
So when they go to study, they earn less money because they don't have the opportunity to learn English. So I discovered, Scott, that after going so many places around the world, the language that most people has in commonality is English.
Hmm. Mhm.
So at the moment we come back to Hong Kong at that moment, and we organize with the school and another parents to really do in that village a library for them, for that village to have at least the beginning of access to English for them to really have, eh, have opportunities.
Hmm.
It was also through
That's
those
amazing.
travels, by the way, that we noticed, even though I worked in the industry of entertainment and we both had, sometimes you don't realize how powerful stories are in transcending cultures
Oh
and
yeah,
languages and so on. It
totally.
wasn't until we were in Mongolia, in the middle of nowhere, with a little
You don't
Mongol.
have roads
There are no roads. It was a Mongolian tent with a satellite dish. In Mongolia, at least at that time,
here, there.
they would sell the television with a satellite dish, because that was the
Hmm.
only way you could actually get TV to watch it, right?
Yeah,
We were observing how they were watching Hollywood movies
and how they
Yeah.
were on a tent,
on
like
a
they're
tent
projecting off of a tent.
in the middle
Yes.
of the desert in
Wow,
Mongolia.
wow.
And that's when we realized, and that's why when Rocio turned to me and said, let's tell our story and make it into a television show, it just made sense. Many people don't read or don't have the time, but everybody tunes into television from time
Mhm.
to time. And
Mhm.
in some cases, there are stories that, that reached living rooms daily on prime time. And so our goal is to turn the orchid into that narrative that allows people, no matter where they are, to experience it, and hopefully through that TV show learn about those tools that they can use and see it reflected, so that they can say, huh, I'm going to go and do this.
Absolutely. I mean, and so what's happening with that? Are you talking to people in Hollywood or
We're in early stages of that
okay,
conversation, but really something has been insisting upon us that we
what's
need
that?
to give time to the book
Mhm.
to find its way, to deepen its roots, so that when we have the other conversations, they're being built on a solid foundation, which
Yes.
is the foundation of the book. And so right now the focus is really just to get as many people to know about the book and to read it and to
Yeah.
experience their own shift.
Yes.
And really what I see is like the philosophy of the orchid. If that information help you, pass it along,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
at the end, what we want to create are bridges
Hmm.
for more people to have conversations between partners, between mother and daughter, or boys. You see that
Yes.
it's incredible that now, after reading the book, you're going to understand better women.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
that's super important. for
Yes.
everyone to understand each other.
We are there's a TV series that's causing a little bit of sensation right now out of the UK. Is on Netflix, Adolescence. I don't
Okay.
know, and
Haven't
it's
seen it.
essentially it's a story in which a teenager commits a murder and kills another teenager. It's worth watching because
Okay.
really it's just putting a mirror on society as to what
Mm,
are the things that are happening around us. And we watched it, and at the end, you really do ask yourself the question: did the child really kill the other child, or did simply society enable it? And
mm,
he was just holding the knife, but really, it's everything that's happening around him that pushed him in that direction. And what we want to tell viewers and listeners is no matter what's happening around us, it's a choice whether or not we stay in that vibration or not. If you are in guilt and shame and anger and fear, that is the lens with which you're going to see the world.
exactly.
And there's a saying that says, if you're a hammer, everything around you is a nail. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how you see it,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are tools out there, and this is why we wrote the book. This is why you do your podcast. This is why so many other people put out information out there. There are tools that can help you in your daily life change the way you're acting, interacting, behaving, but you have to do the work. It's not difficult. If you find a container of love, a situation that allows you and gives you that little bit of, I don't know, freedom, but also courage to go into your skin and take out that little needle that's pissing you off, that
Mm,
is angry, makes you angry. Little by little, you can take them out, and you can change the way you think, and you can change the way you speak to your children, and the way you show up at work, and the way you lead your job, you lead your business, whatever it is that you're interested in. You will always do it better from a better location, from a better mindset. And that's the offering of the book. The offering is, if you heal your heart, then you
Mhm.
heal everything around you. And if you
yes.
empower others to heal, then you heal as a tribe. And that's
Mm.
incredible too.
It's healing society, and that's really where, in the higher frequency of what we're going through right now. Pluto is in Aquarius. It had moved in and out of Aquarius the last couple of years, but now it's here for the long haul for another 20 years or so. And Pluto's the god of death, the planet of transformation, and Aquarius is the community. And so we're going through this transformative period of society. And
Mm,
so if we can do that from the position of recognizing our the specialness of our individuality, our unique gifts, and that I don't need to be in competition with anyone else. Like, I have something unique to offer that might be similar to somebody else, but it's not exactly the same thing. And so the way that I'm offering it, like, I think of myself as an astrologer. I'm only one person. I can't care about getting every person to like want to do a reading with me. It's the right people that are meant to find me. And so because I have a way of sharing the information that's right for them, but maybe not right for other people. So, I think also what you're talking about too, Angel, is like what I'm hearing is like this is how you change your karma. Like,
yeah.
I think like there's this kind of misconception about karma, that karma is if you do something bad to someone else, then something bad is going to happen to you. But really, it's, well, you might not think that that's bad. So if you don't think it's bad, then it's not bad. If you don't think it's wrong, then it's not wrong. It's if you're it's the lens that you view life. So often people are pointing fingers out into society and like that person's a bad person and this that and bad things are going to happen to them, but then nothing bad happens to them because they don't think they're a bad person. They think they're doing whatever they're doing is righteous because that's their lens, that's their perspective. They're living from that place of self love rather than self loathing. So that's when you change the lens, you change your karma, right? Does that make sense? Is that,
I think it makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
Absolutely. And
Mm,
and we're not bound. to live in the same karma all the time. We can
Exactly.
actually, through our actions, through our behavior, through our thinking,
Hmm.
sometimes even just the words we say, right? I
Hmm.
mean, and the intention that we put into those words or into the behaviors. And there's a lot more that we can do to shift our current situation than we sometimes understand or have been led to believe.
You
And that's
you
where that responsibility that you mentioned before comes in.
yes. You mentioned your thoughts, and uh I love, like, you created this great like trailer for the book. And
Mm,
one of the phrases is like, you are not your thoughts, you are not your actions, you are perfect. And I think that was really profound, and actually, it resonated with me a lot, because I feel like there's this misnomer, this spell that's infected society, where it's like we're all flawed. And it's like, no, says who? Who's the person that says, like, you're flawed, that there's something wrong with you? Like, and so I'm always saying, no, you're perfect. And when you say, our thoughts can change our reality, I think that part of the thoughts is like, is not blaming yourself for your thoughts, not beating yourself up over your thoughts. You might feel guilt and shame, and then you're angry at yourself for feeling guilt and shame. It's like, okay, I felt guilt and shame, and it's okay. Now I can let that go and move on to the next thought or feeling. So, uh, I just really loved how it felt very freeing to hear that, when in the trailer, the voiceover is like, you are not your thoughts, you are not your actions, you are perfect. And it's like, I am, okay, yeah, oh, great. Like, oh, life is so much, like, lighter when you think, because you spend so much time just thinking, like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or why are you speaking to yourself this way, or just so much judgment, and it's
yes.
releasing it.
Yes, you just touched something super important.
Yeah.
Really, we read the book, review it and review it and review it more than 14 times to remove any judgment,
Yeah.
because we need the spaces like
Mm.
that
Mm-hmm.
to really is an open space full on container of love,
Yes.
that you can go there and really remove shame,
Yes.
guilt,
Yes.
because that is what pulls you down,
Yes.
hold you.
Exactly.
So in the moment that you begin to see it, you can do something about it. And it's
Mhm.
many people who are helping to remove, but it's incredible that you understand where you are going.
Yes.
Because if you understand when you are going, you can do it faster.
Hmm.
If you see us doing it, is it's like, ah, okay, it's possible. So
Hmm.
that give you that mark that, ah, okay, I'm not alone, I can do it. Doesn't need to be 25 years in a monastery in the top of the mountain and me meditating. No, 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 it's more simple.
Hmm.
But that's why, but you need to understand how important is your inner work.
Yes.
It's the orchid is doesn't exist, right? It's a
Right.
compilation of many experiences put into one,
Yet.
but it doesn't
Yeah.
exist. Yes,
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
so many people
Exactly.
want it to. That it will. The thought
Yes.
is already in the
That's what I
universe.
was thinking. Yet, because
Yet,
I want you to continue, Angel. Tell me, because I have something to say about that
well,
last thing.
I was going to say it really what it is a container of love
Mm-hmm.
and non-judgment, so
Hmm.
that the people can go and do the work. Because often what happens, the reason why we don't want to do the work is because we have voices around us. Sometimes they're our own, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there are other voices that say, how could you, what were you thinking? Shame on you. We've been
Hmm.
listening to that for far too long.
Yes.
And the truth is that there is, and whether you believe in the Bible or not, but there's that text in the Bible: whoever is guilty is not guilty, right? Throw the
Mhm.
first stone.
Yeah,
There is none of
exactly.
us. We've been
Exactly.
everything. We've been
Yes.
every single thing that we despise. We've been that. And so the idea is that in the absence of that, in the absence of judgment, and in the presence of absolute love, a person will say, I'll go to that dark place inside of me and I will try to cleanse that little bit of me that needs tender, loving care so that I can heal and move on and get past this and focus on what really matters, which is focusing all my energy on achieving the greatest dreams that I can dream of. And the ones that I don't know yet about, because the universe is grand and always has surprises for us.
Mm.
That's what this is about. And
Yes.
the orchid really is the place inside of you. When you
Yes.
tap into that, that's when we see great people achieving amazing things. And we say, how did they do that?
Yes.
They tapped into that inner power.
Yes.
What were you going to say?
Oh wow, I totally lost my train of thought because I was just so engaged with, and I've had like 10 other thoughts since you were talking about other areas that I want to go to, but I think well, what I was going to say was, when you're saying like not yet, it's not, like my partner, one of her dreams, like she's a therapist, is like creating this like healing center where she would be like kind of the overseer, like maybe the Mary character. And it's not, it wouldn't be like a retreat, but it's similar, like similar vibration, where there'd be like, an astrologer there, a plant medicine person there, different modalities of healing where people could come
Yes.
and work on themselves. And it might be, it could be like the orchid, or it could be, like just in your town, where you show up on Thursdays and you go and you do like an all day healing with different people and that are using
It's so
various
necessary.
modalities.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
It really is so necessary to have many places like this around the world.
Yes. I think we're going to see that. I think that's like the higher frequency of this Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius is transforming the community,
Yes.
and in transforming the community, like the universe is encouraging us to be more authentic. And through that authenticity, you get to that authenticity through self love. And it's like you were also saying, Angel, about like that thing that you can't stand about that other person. It's in you. This is what I always tell people, like, you're born under the same planets and stars as everyone else. So
Yeah.
if there's somebody that's annoying you, that's bothering you, that's frustrating you, that's angering you, they're showing you something. And this is why I tell people that you're perfect, because in your best moment, your worst moment, your ugliest moment, you are showing the people that are involved in that moment with you something about themselves that they
Yes.
can only see through you in that moment.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so when somebody's bothering you or annoying you or angering you, they're showing you something about yourself that you need to go within and look at within yourself. That's why you're in that frequency to begin with.
Yes.
Yes.
So, yes. The other thing I wanted to mention, oh yeah, there's something in the book, like you were talking about, oh, what was it? It was like you were saying, just I guess it was maybe like being open and being able to go to some of these places. And I really kind of felt that with the letters of gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like the opening up. I I love these letters because they're written in such, in the character, like each letter is very attuned to like the character. They're very different from each other. I was curious about like Stephanie's letter because she's crossing out different lines, which I thought was interesting. um it's like, I don't want to say that she's withholding, but also she's, just kind of finding a way to articulate it in the way that feels right to her, which is maybe most safe. Whereas like you have Jennifer, who's like just completely going off on Brian, and not holding back at all, but then coming back to center and realizing that, where she needs to hold herself accountable.
Yes.
Yeah, the letters were special, and for all the things you've mentioned. In the case of Stephanie, it was that I want to come forth and be honest and say everything that's happened to me, but not being able to. And we actually, it was interesting because how do you show that to the reader? And even in the audiobook, it's a little bit more difficult,
Oh
obviously.
wow, yeah.
But we wanted them to know that she was hesitating and that it's okay to
Yes.
hesitate and that
Yes.
there's nothing wrong with that. In fact,
Exactly.
there is in the book, there's also a woman who left the orchid
Mm.
because she wasn't able to deal with a particular situation and she didn't want. I don't know that it was very conscious on her part. Subconsciously, she couldn't do it. She just couldn't do it. And at that point, it was really beautiful because Mary, everybody's, it's typically happens when gossip is taking over a place. Everybody's like, did you hear that? She left and
Hmm.
what happened? And Mary comes up and says, look, I understand that you want to know, that you want to kind of speak about this, but we do more for her by sending her our love
Mm.
than discussing the intricacies of what actually happened. Love is
Yes.
really powerful. Let's just send her because that's going to heal her. This is exactly what she needs to do. And she didn't say it in these words, but ultimately, your soul really knows when it's the right time to heal or not. And if
Yes.
something hasn't arrived for you, it's because it's not the right time or you're not looking in the right place.
Totally.
When it's time, it will show up and it will keep showing up and hitting you like those birds that hit the window and
Yes.
just keep coming in.
Hmm.
And that was the beauty of the orchid, that could happen and there would be no judgment. It's okay, go away, deal with what you do, heal your heart in whatever way you think it's necessary, and when you're ready, if you want to come back, come back.
That's what it was. It was the no judgment. That's what spurned my thought to look at that letter again and to bring that up, because that's what it felt like, was like there was no judgment in the letters. Even the fact that Stephanie's like crossing out these words, it didn't feel judgmental. But the you know this also reminds me, if you heard of like Vipassana meditations.
No.
So okay, so there's this is like a silent meditation retreat. It's a 10-day retreat. I think it's 10 days. I think it's 10 days. And they're all over the world. There's two, at least two in California. I've never been. I know people that have gone, but it's a completely silent meditation. There's like a there's like a video of, or there's people telling you what you need to do in the meditations, and it's like an all vegan, I think, menu. And like you wake up at 4 in the morning, you go to bed at like 6 or 7. And there's maybe an hour a day where you can talk to like a guide or somebody if you have a question.
Mhm.
But there's no reading materials, there's no phones, none of that. And you are just in silence for a week, and it's completely free. The It's paid for by the generosity of the people who have gone to those meditations and want to give back. They do. So that was similar with the orchid.
Mhm. Mhm.
And But it's also interesting because the people that I know that have gone, they've made it to 10 days, but they're like, the amount of people that leave during those 10 days is like, you hear
It's a
people
lot
getting
to,
up in the middle of the night, and you're like, oh, someone's leaving, because you're
right.
sleeping in kind of like small quarters, and you can hear what's going on with other people. And so, yeah, no judgment. Like, if you got to leave, you just leave. And
That's why, Scott, is important that they take this book like a novel,
hmm.
because what they're going to see is the story of a characters,
Yes.
and they can and through the characters, probably you're gonna get, I don't know, answers, inspiration,
Entertainment.
motivation,
Yes.
entertainment, something to comment, because you can take it light or super intense. And at the end, and the only person who matters is yourself. And if you are ready to understand a little bit more profound knowledge, you're going to find it.
Yes.
But at the end is, we have a comment of a lady who at one point is like, I was against any self-help book. But then after reading this novel, I opened myself to, you know what? Maybe I'm missing something
Mm.
very important in my life because I was judging.
Mm.
So we are really well trained in judging.
Yes.
So that's the point of what happens if you don't judge and you only begin to question, is this the best
Mm.
possibility that I can live,
Yes.
or is something else? And if you begin to ask questions, answers are gonna come, because it's true when the alumno, how you say,
The student.
when the student is ready, the teacher is gonna come.
Yes. The teacher appears.
The
Yes.
teacher appears. So is really important really to laugh
Hmm.
about it, and we come back all this to joy. And is, this doesn't need to be difficult. I see the difference now with my kids, and we put a lot of, it's like a feels heavy for them, but now it's like a laugh at this is gonna pass.
Hmm.
And it's like a all this reinforcement again and again, that even death can feel very difficult. But now, after passing so much death, it's like the transmission of, like a change of energy.
Hmm.
Transmutation.
That's it. Yeah. It's yes.
So if you begin to see yourself in a more grandiose way, because we are unique, and really is beautiful to be here, we choose to come and to do this. Oh my God, it's a great adventure,
Hmm.
right? To
Yes.
discover all this treasure all together. So how we can foster more win to win for everyone.
Yes.
How
That's a very Aquarius phrase right there.
Is it?
Win
Oh,
I
win.
wow.
Win win. Yes.
Win win.
Yes. A win win.
and really we win.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone win
Yes.
when everyone is super happy and really enjoying. Because when I was relating myself to the world in a place of scarcity,
Mm-hmm.
n-
That's what the world showed you.
yes, all the
Yes.
And
time,
that's what you were giving the world.
100%.
Mhm.
So now that I live in a place of abundance, creativity, joy, is like the party is incredible. Is every day, every moment. No, every moment, because I continue to experience loneliness sometimes, and it's like, okay.
Hmm.
All my kids left to go again to university, and you have that second to, should I give more energy to sadness, or I can continue to what I'm doing, who is invigorate.
Yes.
So I was sad already for many years. It's like, okay, I know that feeling really well. I prefer this other feeling.
Hmm. That's right. So thank you so much, Rocio. Beautiful. Tell me, why the orchid? Why the title of the orchid?
Well, look, when we first started to look for a name, actually, it was going to be the garden, because it was going to
Hmm.
be that play on the Garden of Eden, right?
Mm-hmm.
Returning to that state of mind.
Yes.
And there's too many things that have been written and have that name. So we kept looking and looking, and all of a sudden, we came across the orchid, and it started to all fall in place. It's still falling in place as late as last week, and I'll explain that in a second. But we realized that there were 30,000 different kinds of orchids
Hmm.
throughout the world, incredibly resilient, seen in pretty much every region of the world, including the caps, the ice caps. Um,
Wow.
and if you look at it, it looks like the feminine sexual organ,
Hmm.
right? So it's very, very feminine. But then, and we just learned this last week. I can't believe we didn't come across that even before. Orchid comes from the word orchis, which is testicles in Greek.
Hmm.
And what the reason why it was is because the roots of some orchids bulge like two testicles. And so when years ago, if they were being addressed, they were addressed as the testicle plants.
Hmm.
So it was now I look at it and I'm fascinated by the fact that this plant speaks both so absolutely profoundly to the feminine, but also the masculine. And they
Wow.
coexist in the same plant. And so I think it's the orchid really is an attempt to send various messages. One, especially women in this particular case, you're beautiful. Every
Hmm.
one of you is more beautiful than the other.
Hmm.
And there's so many of you. So it goes back to that perfection that you spoke of before.
Hmm.
The other one is to also the feminine is we need to strengthen it. And we need to strengthen it like the human body needs two sound and powerful legs to walk on. If we only have one, which is what we've been doing in the world for far too long, then consequences are going to appear. And we see it as well. So strengthening that other leg so that the human body and in our lives, we can stand those two is really important. And the last one, it's more towards the men. And I'm a firm believer that in the Bible, when the fourth commandment, honor thy mother and thy father,
Hmm.
it's really about honoring the feminine and masculine
Hmm.
energy inside all of us.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so part of the novel, it's also about healing that feminine energy inside us men so
Yes.
that we can stand in balance and equilibrium in our own lives. So really that's it's all that encompassed in the orchid in the title and why is towards the goddess, towards
Hmm.
the feminine, the divine feminine.
That's beautiful. That's brilliant. I it leads me to my next question that I was going to save till later, but it's like a good transition. Like, cause I I feel like a big part of this book is like healing not only the divine feminine, but the divine masculine. And like, everybody has a Mars and a Venus. So, we both have the masculine and feminine energies, and the world seems really kind of upside down in a sense with these frequencies. Like, I think like the relationship between Brian and Jennifer, like I I'm just like looking at Brian and I'm like, if you were unhappy in your marriage, why didn't you say something about it?
Yeah.
He is taking that toxic masculine approach where it's like, well, I'm not happy in the marriage, it's not my fault, it's her, so I'm going to go find a better woman, another woman. um and that puts Jennifer in the position where she is emanating toxic masculinity and is totally rejecting her feminine nature because she's not taking care of herself, she's not nurturing herself. And so in a sense it's like, yeah, the book feels like to me like healing both of those divine energies, the masculine and the feminine.
For sure, for sure. And I think, and when I look at Brian, you can look at his life in many ways. One is he needed to do that so that she can
Of
rise to the
course,
occasion of
yes.
finding herself, right? So he was the teacher
Yes.
to Jennifer. And then at the same time is Brian needs to go inside and do his own job, his own work,
Exactly.
and heal whatever it is that's leading him to that point. Even though he contributed towards her growth, now it's time for him to, without judgment and with a lot of love, and saying, come in, because we all need to heal. the
Hmm.
beauty of the beauty of community is that when we allow each individual member of the community to be the best version of themselves that they can be,
Hmm.
you create the Avengers, right?
Yes,
Because
exactly.
all of a sudden everybody's super powerful,
Yeah.
and then you say, Scott, I need your swimming skills, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
we're going to go deep, but I can't swim like you do,
Yeah,
Scott, so come on, let's go. And you're
exactly.
say, Angel, but you're going to carry the bag because you are so powerful in your legs, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beauty that we need to go back to, is the realizing that every single person in our periphery plays an important role in who we are and the life that we live, and our just existence. And to
Yes.
the extent that they're better and they stand on their own and they feel pride and happiness and joy, their contribution to our lives, it's going to be that.
Hmm.
And it's beautiful to know that that's what we need to do, because once you get it, then that's what you're working towards. We're still, many of us are still, and sometimes we as well, are caught up on the, well, no, if I don't succeed, then nobody should succeed,
Hmm.
right? And
Exactly.
that
Misery
becomes
loves company.
self-defeating.
Yes. Misery loves company, right?
Yes,
It's that frequency.
yes,
But when you reach the ability to really look back, like at Jennifer, and say, like, I'm grateful for Brian,
yes,
because all of the stuff, even the stuff that I never want to experience again, I'm grateful for it because it helped lead me on this path
yes,
where now I've learned to really be self-sufficient and loving to myself. Isn't
yes,
that's the path? So,
Yes, you're
yeah.
gonna read it in the future when you go to intention,
Hmm.
oof,
because we have a chapter only to help people to understand how important is to see yourself winning.
Hmm. Yes. Yes. To see yourself as the hero,
yes.
right? Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Often we don't think about it, and we speak very badly to ourselves. Oh, I'm
Exactly.
such an idiot. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
such a fool. I can't believe I
Exactly.
did
I don't
that.
deserve that.
I don't
You
deserve
know.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not enough.
I'm
I'm
not
not enough.
enough. Yeah, exactly. As opposed to I'm everything. I'm everything that I need, everything that I want. It's all exists within me.
Yes,
Yes,
So the two of you have traveled to 65 countries, but of
yes,
all the places to choose to make the setting for the orchid, you chose Mount Shasta in
yes.
California. What was the inspiration there? Beautiful place, amazing place.
because has when we were there, where was fantastic area.
We
What
had
were
done a
you doing there?
retreat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
We had done a retreat
What was that?
recently.
What was the retreat?
We went with a group of people, and for 4 days, 5 days, we meditated and chanted and did exercises. And it really was just commune with nature.
Mm-hmm.
We did a bonfire in the middle of the night in Mount Shasta.
Mm.
Um, and what we wanted to really, I think also because we were living in California, it just made sense that it was the proximity. There are so
Totally.
many places around the world
yes,
that are sources of energy, have been
Mm-hmm.
for millennia, right?
Mm.
And we wanted to honor those places. And that's why we felt the orchid needed to be close to a center of power, of energy.
Hmm.
But I, like Mary, she realized very soon through her travels that the wisdom of the world is spread throughout the world, and that it's everywhere you go, you can tune into that. And so
Hmm.
if I had to, or when the orchids, or the next orchid appears, I'm sure it will be in another wonderful location, maybe Egypt, maybe the
Mm,
Peruvian mountains, maybe Asia,
The
um, the
Himalayas.
Himalayas. I
mm,
love. There's a program on Netflix that speaks. Um, this journalist turned archaeologist speaks of the different places around the world where now pyramids have been found,
mhm.
and how even though it's thousands and thousands of years ago and spread throughout the world, they carry incredible similitude. They're identical in construction and in idea, and you have to ask yourself, wow, these were centers of energy.
Yeah, what was really
And
going on here? It wasn't like
right,
just a bunch of people saying, "Hey, let's build this. This is cool." You
right.
know, it
And let's
was
align it. And by the way, and especially for you, and let's align them perfectly to the astros, to the
yeah,
stars,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, are you familiar with the Lemurian race? Have you heard of that?
Not as familiar as I'd love to be, but yes,
Okay,
somewhat.
because like, they have a connection to Mount Shasta. That's apparently where they come from,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Lemurians. So, yeah, I don't have, like, I'm not an expert on it by any means, but, it's, this is there it's like the city of Atlantis and
yeah.
that sort of lore,
Mm.
but they are connected to it was like supposedly it's like the home of the subterranean Lemurian city called Telos. Uh,
Wow.
so yeah, that's why I think Shasta has that sort of that I don't know, inspirational uh feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We when we were there, and there were many stories about all the different alien sites that have been
Mhm.
observed, and so it's just powerful. And look, we spent time in Egypt. We
Mm.
had the pleasure and the privilege of meditating inside the pyramid of Giza.
Mm.
Um, when you
Bhutan was really special
Bhutan,
to go to the eagle's nest and the monastery.
Uh-huh.
So is we've been in many places. Jerusalem. Yeah, is really beautiful to see that we have more. It's not too much to discover, but it's a lot to discover about our roots.
Mhm.
And but in the meantime, it's better that you begin to work about yourselves, because really is what the times needs.
yeah,
Mm.
Needs that everyone feels better about where they are, and in
Yes.
that moment is a higher frequency for the planet.
Yes, absolutely. You raise and that's one of the keynotes of Aquarius is I think of Aquarius as the vibe keeper because it's
oh,
fixed.
interesting,
Yeah, it's fixed air. And so, whatever vibration you are humming your tune at, you're gonna bring the collective to that vibration. It's like
mm,
when I used to wait tables, there was a guy I worked with who was an Aquarius, and he was always just like so complaining about this thing, the next thing, and very frustrated. And he would bring everyone down. And one day he asked me, this was when I was starting to get super into astrology. He's like, "So what's Aquarius is about?" I was like, you set the tone. So when you come in here and you're complaining about everything, everybody's going to be down on that note. When
right,
your vibration
Wow.
is up here and you're feeling better about things, you're going to lift everyone up. And he just stopped and like looked at me. I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. And it changed his attitude. He
oh
started
wow,
becoming more conscious about how he was behaving, and his whole life changed after that. Like, he ended up falling in love, getting married, having a kid. It's just like that, because his attitude shifted. So
Is
yes,
is real. It
yes,
change.
the power of awareness.
yes.
Yes.
So I wanted to look at your astrocartography real quick because you are, world travelers. And I'm just curious to know, are you familiar with astrocartography?
No.
This
No.
is like, it's like a map of the world, and it shows literally where the planets were transiting, like
Okay.
where the sun was moving exactly over, the whole world at the time of birth. And so that gives like some insight into, how you might experience that place. So, just for instance, both of you live in California now, right? Are you in
Yes.
California?
Yes, Los
So,
Angeles.
Los Angeles. Okay. So, when I look at Rocio, LA is Mercury and the ascendant on the midheaven. So that means like when you were born, Rocio, Mercury was like way up high in the sky, and when you were born, and not the ascendant, I meant the north node. So then your soul's purpose and your Mercury were high in the sky. So like Los Angeles is a great place for you. You will really thrive in following your soul's purpose. You will thrive in connecting with people. You'll be meeting a lot of different people that will support you in achieving your goals and ambitions, like bringing the book, and really elevating the book, and then eventually getting the television series. And so that is Rocio. And then for Angel, this is your sun transits near to Los Angeles. The sun and the was rising. The sun was rising in Los Angeles when you were born, and so this is a great place for you to really put yourself forward very confidently, very courageously. People are able to see you very clearly. Neptune is also not too far off the coast of Los Angeles for you on the midheaven. So Neptune was high in the sky. So this could be a place, maybe California, where you're bringing your dreams into reality. So that's Los Angeles. So give me a couple places that like you love or you want to go back to. Maybe you've been there once, you want to go back, or there's a place that's like, if I could go any place in the world, this is where I want to be.
Okay. You
No, you go
have?
ahead. You have a few, I'm sure.
No. Well, of course, London.
London. Okay. So London, let's see what's happening in London. London is London is Neptune, so that's dreams and fantasy. There might be like Neptune. It's like that's where maybe you get like that spiritual connection to your home. Uh, how does that all feel? Does that resonate with you, or?
Uh, what I see is, for example, in London, I see them more open to productions.
Hmm. So doing
Really.
like the television production or that sort of thing. So okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and that's and so I think of that in terms of Neptune crossing near London is like your book is very spiritual,
Hmm.
and it involves meditation, like spirituality, meditation, that's Neptune. Those are the qualities of Neptune. So Neptune goes right through the UK for you. What was another place you were going to mention?
Mexico has been a place where not only did we meet there, Rocio
Yeah.
obviously is from there, but for a particular reason, the book and our efforts have somehow been concentrated there.
Hmm.
And it just seems to be gathering momentum. And so
Hmm.
and obviously we have roots there. So it's a
Yes. Well, again, it's interesting because for Rocio, Neptune is crossing over Mexico City. Neptune crosses over the UK, and it crosses through Mexico near Mexico City. So, again, that's the planet of dreams, fantasy, spirituality, and
Mm.
meditation. For you, Angel, it's a little more neutral. There's no planets that are crossing right over there, but the closest planet there's two planets that are close. Well, they're not close, but they're in the vicinity. The two closest planets are Jupiter, which is the other spiritual planet. It's the planet of luck and expansion, and it's on the descending. So that you could look at that and say, well, that's why I met my wife there. For Rocio, Neptune was also setting. So for both of you, Jupiter and Neptune were setting at that time. So it's like Rocio found the dream relationship, and Angel found the relationship where he feels lucky, like I hit the jackpot. And then, but also Rocio has Chiron is the wound in the ancient wisdom, which is unlocked through healing that wound, is also crossing through Mexico to the west of Mexico City, and that represents healing the
Mhm.
self.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
So,
Yes, because for example, now we are in the process to try that more people gets to know the book in
hmm,
English and Spanish. So the next that we're gonna go is Colombia.
Colombia. So you're doing like a press tour down there or something
Yes,
in Colombia? Oh,
yes.
cool. So let's see what Colombia looks like for you. Colombia. Yeah. So for Angel, Columbia is the North Node, so the soul's purpose, and Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, the planet of relationships. The North Node is the ascendant, which is good for you, Rocio, or for Angel, because your North Node is in Aries. So this is about being in Colombia. It's going to be a good place for you to really show yourself authentically, courageously, show yourself love. But then the Venus midheaven, that's going to help attract relationships that can help propel you to achieve your goals and ambitions. For And then for Rocio, it's also Venus on the midheaven. So both of your Venuses on the midheaven are transiting through Columbia. So it feels like a place for both of you to really connect with people that are going to help take your book to the next level, to help you achieve your goals and ambitions. Rocio also has Jupiter on the descendant transiting through Colombia. So that's going to bring luck and expansion to relationships. So I'm excited for you. I want to hear how this press tour goes, because I feel like both of you are going to meet people that can help propel you to the next level with your book.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
you're
amazing.
welcome. You're
It's really
welcome.
interesting to see how we plan, right? And
Mhm.
but ultimately what needs to happen happens and evolves, and all of a sudden you keep knocking on a certain door and it doesn't open, and the other one opens effortlessly.
Yes,
And so
yes.
that's what's happening with Colombia.
Mhm.
And so I'm not surprised to hear what you just said.
Exactly, because the universe is like closing the door on these other places. Like, no, you need to go to Colombia. You need to
Right?
go to Colombia. And now that you're going to Colombia, I'm showing you here. You got a lot of luck down
Yeah.
in Colombia
Yeah.
in meeting people, making connections, cultivating those relationships that are going to help you achieve your goals and ambitions.
Oh, how beautiful.
How beautiful.
Yes.
How beautiful.
Mhm.
Because really is imagine Scott, more people happy. Wow.
Yes. Yes. Well, you two are both in the right frequency as Aquarius is, with all of your Neptune and Pisces and 12th house frequencies of sharing that compassion and inspiration. You're following your soul's purpose, and you're in that right time with Pluto and Aquarius. Like, this is the time for the Aquarians to rise up.
Right.
Yes.
And both of you are Aquarius, and you're really invigorating the community. And I'm so excited for both of you. So, and this book. So I want to encourage anyone who's listening to read this book, not only because it's it is a self-help book, but because it's entertaining, and it's story driven. So that's what makes it not feel like a self-help book to me, because it's not an author like preaching to me about how I need to change my life. You're experiencing it through these other characters that you'll be able to relate to, to varying degrees. And that will help, really, I feel, open up the heart, or the orchid, of each individual, and create that balance of divine masculine feminine energy that exists within within all of us.
Yes.
How
Mm.
beautiful. My heart is pumping.
Yes.
It's like boom,
Amazing,
boom, boom.
Rocio.
You see, it's like
Amazing. Well,
so
it has
nice.
been such an honor and a privilege to speak with both of you. I want to thank you, and thank Deborah. Is it Deborah who
Yes.
reached out on
Debbie.
your
Yeah.
Debbie, who reached out on your behalf? You're the first people that I've had on the show who I didn't know, I'd never heard of before, I had no connection to, but she reached out, and I was like, okay, let me look at this. And I'm like, this is resonating with me. And it's been such a joy having this conversation with you. Tell the audience, like, where can they find you? I'm going to put everything in the show notes, but like, if they want to follow you on Instagram or your website, or where can they buy the book, and any final like words of wisdom that you
Mm.
have to share with the audience that you can impart upon us.
Well, at the end, the most important and what is coming to me is joy. Is
Hmm.
really find the joy in every moment that you are doing, because that is the transmission of your signal to the universe who bring you more of what you really love. So don't be afraid to try it. Don't be afraid to experiment.
Hmm.
At the end, nothing happens. It's like a try and see, because the reward is really truly a
Hmm.
golden experience. So please enjoy
Hmm.
every moment.
I love that. That speaks to my heart, Rocio. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And in my case, I'd love to read the dedication of the book.
Yes.
It's really profound for
Hmm.
us. And it says,
Please.
to all who journeyed through these pages, to everyone who's listening, to everyone who's watching, may you be inspired to rewrite your own narrative and live a life of love, free of limitations, and enriched by the knowledge that you are powerful beyond belief. Tap into that power, unleash you, and trust, and be free. And
Hmm.
that's our wish for you, and you, Scott, as
I
well. Thank
take
you
it
for
in.
this
Yeah, I was gonna
space.
say I'll take that. Yeah.
Please.
Oh, it's wonderful. And as far as the book, it's available wherever books are sold.
Mhm.
Amazon tends to be a platform that everybody gravitates to these days, but you can go to Barnes and Noble, Apple. The book is available in English and Spanish,
Amazing.
electronically, in print or physical print, and also as audiobook.
Hmm. Who's reading the
And
book? Who's reading?
Yes.
Who's reading the book?
a wonderful,
A
two wonderful
wonderful.
women that we found,
Oh.
actresses,
Oh
voice
wow.
actors,
I love it.
Yes.
and
Because it's an experience. We
yeah,
put music
Yeah.
and then
Oh.
we put sound for, it's like a, you're gonna listen, and it's like a, they can take you
Hmm.
to go to really experience the exercise or experience what is happening. But I believe is wherever speaks to you,
Mhm.
take it.
Hmm.
yeah, and
Yes.
they're both of them. We searched for a long time and worked with some wonderful people to make sure that we did it correctly. They speak and they're reading and narrating the story in the vibration of love. The two of them
Hmm.
are, and so that's what you're going to take away.
Is that the same woman who is one of the same women who's doing the voiceover for the trailer of the book, or is that
No,
somebody?
no, no.
Okay,
They're
because like
different.
they're a great voice too. I felt I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel so
No,
relaxed.
they're different. But if anyone wants to first take a taste, every platform gives you the first chapter or two,
Mm, mm,
both audio or print or electronic. And so you get a chance to do that. And also on YouTube, you can follow us on the Orchid Book. And that takes you to our website. And from there, you can go find our podcast, learn more about every form in which the book is found, everything through theorchidbook.com.
theorchidbook.com. And tell a little bit about your podcast because it's in direct relation to the orchid.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then what we want is for people to see that the book was resonating in different ways with different readers or
Mm,
listeners. And they were taking and applying the wisdom already in their lives.
mm,
And they've been having results. So it's a testimony of the beauty of really understanding that you can go in this beautiful journey and discover the most important part that is you.
mm.
And that is the best present that we can receive.
And it's called
Absolutely.
the Orchid Diaries. And
Mm,
it's available in, well, nowadays it's mostly Spotify and Apple.
yes.
So through those two, but all the other platforms as well. The Orchid Diaries. And it's conversations with readers and listeners of the book.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, Rocio,
Thank
Angel,
you so much.
mucho gusto. Gracias.
Igualmente.
Yes.
Muchísimo gusto. Maybe we need to go and drink some beers.
And have beautiful conversations. And who knows, perhaps there's an orchid retreat center in our future.
Brewing.
I love it. I see it happening. I believe that it can happen. I feel like it's happening. So thank you
Amazing.
for your creation. Thank you for your time, your energy, and all you shared here with the audience and me. And I'll look forward to reconnecting with both of you down the road.
Thank you,
Amazing.
Scott. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Scott,
Welcome.
and thank you to your listeners and your viewers.
We send them a big kiss.
Yes.
Muchos besos.
Muchas
Muchísimos
veces.
besos. ¡Mua!
Thank you for listening to the Weekly Transit. Interviews and conversations from an astrological lens. This episode was produced by me, Scott Tajarian. Music written by Ben Leinbach from Listen Deep by Amber Herzog Lyman. If you're interested in being a guest on the Weekly Transit, you can email me at scott@theweeklytransit.com. Wishing you all the best as you ride the planetary waves.